We all admitted we were shocked about war kidnapping that took place in Kebbi. And it was reported, and the governor of Kebbi State cried aloud that military personnel that were in that particular school were ordered to be withdrawn. And about 40 minutes later, the kidnappers came and cut away about 200, I can't remember exactly the number of children. This Senate, under your leadership, we passed a resolution that the military high command should disclose the name of that officer, the action that had been taken against him, to satisfy us that that action was not willful, or that people who are entrusted to protect us, that some of them have not become part of our problem. Mr. President, I have always tried to be present in every day that this thing is sit. As I speak, I am not aware that we have gotten a response to that simple inquiry. If the armed forces is not accountable, if we do not carry out due audit and oversight on resources that we have all been blackmailed to appropriate to protect Nigeria, and we come here lamenting that the things is now taking over the country, I think we need to do more than that. We need to carry out security audit. Money appropriated. Who got what? How was it used? And I insist that this Senate is entitled to have a reply to the question we unanimously ask. Who withdraw those people for the children to be carted away?
On November 17, 2025, gunmen stormed the government girls comprehensive secondary school in Megatown, Wasagu Danko local government area of Kebbi State. The assailants killed the vice principal, injured one teacher, and abducted 25 schoolgirls from their hostel. Adams Oshiomole quoted about 200 children. The actual number was 25 schoolgirls, not 200. And to be fair, he acknowledged he couldn't remember the exact figure. The facts that Oshiomole pointed out are damning and well corroborated. The Kebbi State Governor Nasir Idris stated the military was deployed, but they later withdrew by 3 a.m. and by 3:45 a.m. the incident happened. Governor Idris expressed deep concern that the withdrawal occurred despite prior intelligence alerts provided by the state government, which had indicated an increased threat level in the area. So the operational sequence is this: intelligence received, security meeting convened, military deployed, military withdrawn at 3 a.m., bandits strike at 3:45 a.m. That 45-minute window is not a coincidence anyone serious can dismiss. Now, the Senate resolution and the wall of residence. The Senate resolution and the wall of silence. This is arguably the most political, explosive part of Oshiomole's speech, and it deserves full attention. It reveals that the Nigerian Senate unanimously passed a resolution demanding that the military high command name the officer who ordered the withdrawal and disclose that what action, if any, was taken against that officer. And as of the time of his speech, the military had not responded. This is constitutionally and institutionally significant. The National Assembly's oversight function over the executive, including the military, the National Assembly's oversight function over the executive, including the military, is enshrined in the 1999 Constitution. Section 88 empowers the legislature to investigate any matter within its legislative competence, including defense and security appropriations. When the military ignores a Senate resolution, it is not merely a bureaucratic slight, it's an assertion that the armed forces operate above legislative oversight. That is a democratic crisis dressed in military silence. A top source revealed that all soldiers previously stationed at the school had been summoned to Abuja for interrogation as part of efforts to determine why the security post was vacated shortly before the attack. A senior government official confirmed to Punch that the Kebbi authorities were waiting for clarity from Abuja, especially regarding who authorized the withdrawal. So the defense headquarters did open an internal investigation, but internal investigation and public accountability to the legislature are two entirely different things. The Senate asked a specific question: who gave the order and what was done to them? An internal probe that reports only upward within the military chain of command does not satisfy legislative oversight. Oshiomhole is right to call out that distinction. Now, the sabotage question, is it being asked fairly? Oshiomhole stops just short of directly accusing military personnel of collaborating with bandits, but the implication is clear. He says the Senate wants to be satisfied that that action was not willful, meaning they want the military to prove it wasn't an inside job. This is a legitimate question. Nigeria has documented cases of security force complicity in criminal activity across different theaters, from the northeast to the northwest. The pattern of intelligence being available, military being present, and then being mysteriously withdrawn before an attack is a pattern that has repeated itself often enough that dismissing the sabotage hypothesis as a paranoia is no longer intellectually honest. The defense headquarters launched an investigation into claims that troops stationed at the Kebbi school were withdrawn before the attack, stating a thorough review is underway to determine the circumstances surrounding troop deployment and movement at the time of the incident. That statement is careful, measured, and institutional. What it is not, what it is not is transparent. A thorough review is underway is the language of delay. Nigerians have had that language before, from investigations into Chibok in 2014, from various defense committees, from panels that produce reports that are never published. Oshiomhole is right to be impatient. However, the analyst in me must also flag this. Withdrawn does not automatically mean colluded. There are mundane operational explanations: a miscommunication up the chain, a redeployment order from a superior who had no knowledge of the intelligence on the ground, a bureaucratic failure rather than a criminal one. That possibly exists. What makes it hard to give the benefit of the doubt is the silence that followed. The security budget question following the money. Oshiomole's demand for a security audit is not new, but it is increasingly urgent. He asked the most important question in Nigerian security governance: money was appropriated, who got what, and how was it used? Nigeria's defense budgets under the Tinubu administration have been substantial. The 2024 defense budget was over 2.97 trillion naira. The 2025 defense allocation remained among the highest sectoral budgets, yet bandits operate in broad daylight in Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Katsina. They attack schools, kidnap children, and in this case, struck a school that had on paper military protection. The fundamental question Oshiomhole is raising is one of resource accountability versus resource theater. Is the money being used to actually build security capacity, or is it being appropriated, disbursed, and lost in the familiar labyrinth of Nigerian procurement corruption, with security remaining as broken as ever? It is a question the National Assembly has historically struggled to answer because The executive routinely classifies security spending under security votes that are exempt from the kind of granular oversight that would expose waste of diversion. Oshiomhole is an APC insider. He was the party's national chairman. This is not an opposition figure firing shots. This is a man within the ruling establishment, publicly embarrassing the military high command and implicitly pressuring President Tinubu to enforce accountability within his own security architecture. This is significant for two reasons. First, it signals that frustration with insecurity is now breaking through partisan loyalty, even among Tinubu's political allies. If Oshiomhole is saying this publicly, you can be certain that far harsher conversations are happening in private. Second, it gives the Senate demand institutional weight. This is not PDP senators grandstanding. This is a formal APC chairman using the legislature to hold the executive accountable, which is exactly what the legislature is constitutionally designed to do. Now, in conclusion, other Nigerians, including security, other Nigerians, including security experts, have called on the military high command to investigate claims by the governor of Kebbi State and punish offenders or prove him wrong. That is exactly where Oshiomhole lands. Prove it wasn't deliberate. Name the officer. Show the Senate and by extension Nigerians that appropriated security funds and deployed military assets actually translate into protection for the most vulnerable. Schoolgirls in Kebbi, children in their hostels at 3 a.m. Until that proof is provided, Oshiomole's speech stands not as political theatrics, but as one of the most legitimate exercises of legislative conscience we have seen on the Senate floor in years. The military owes Nigeria an answer, and the Senate owes Nigeria the spine to demand one until they get it. Thank you for watching and listening. Share your views in the comment section. Comment, pour out your thoughts in the comment section. Share the video, like it, and please, most importantly, subscribe. Thank you.